Hey, it's Paul. How you doing? I want to ask you something. How many of you people are out at work, and has it caused any issues for you in your work time? Let's talk about that today. Hey, welcome to our Southern Front Porch. It's Paul, your host. I just hope everything's going well with you today and enjoying the upcoming season of holidays. I guess there's some decorations up. I certainly have seen them at Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart, so I'm sure that it's not too long before your apartment neighbors or your home neighbors will be festooning everything with ignitable, inflatable 20-foot tall ghosts, and then when they're finished, I guess your unicorns, your Jesuses, your Mary and Joseph. Maybe only a 3-foot inflatable baby, right? To be proportional with Mary's vaginal opening. I'm sure that she was having a rough birth because she was a virgin. That's very bizarre, but that's what they say it goes. I don't know how that turned out. Joseph had no one to be too jealous of, did he? Really, he had no reason to be jealous. It was an immaculate conception. She didn't sleep around. As a matter of fact, Mary used to file her nails quite a bit, as most Jewish women do. That's nice. That's nice. Go get some food, dear, for dinner. I don't feel like cooking. Oh dear. And you know, there was no McDonald's back then. I don't even know if that was kosher. Hey, listen. All kidding aside, how are you today? And we're gonna go with hello again. Here's my best to you. Are your skies all gray? I'd make them blue. Take my hand and come along. Hello, hello again. Hello, my friends. Hello again. Come on along. It's time for our Southern Porch, Southern Front Porch, whatever you call it. Just call me. Now, I was just thinking about in one of the other videos that we recently did, we talked about the changes of the phases of life that you go into, and I consider life to have its various stages every 7 to 10 years. You know, you've got your elementary school life, which goes probably up to about 10 or 12. It's a little bit earlier than it was when I was a tyke, and then your first pseudo adulthood comes at middle school and high school, which is again another 7 to 10 years. Don't get left back too often, and then it's closer to 7 than to 10. But that's when you start to have your nocturnal emissions, and the girls have a little bit of a blood stain on the sheets. It's not too embarrassing because mom and dad help the kids through that more than they used to. Not. But yeah, I remember how that felt. Wow. I didn't know what was happening when I guess I was about 12. And this was an interesting thing. My mom took me in the dream that I had at the time, and it probably was in the early morning. My mom took me shopping to Manhattan to, I believe it was Macy's, although the name doesn't really matter. And she had to go get something, and then she said, "Stay right here, I'll be back in a little while." And in the dream, I stayed and waited and waited and waited and waited, and I started to feel uncomfortable. I saw all these women coming and going, leaving the store, and I thought she forgot me. I'm pretty sure I thought she forgot me. And I went up the escalator, and I was crying. Not wah, I was crying. No. And one of the escalator security people that was on the level that I was going up to, he said, "Don't worry, little boy. We'll be fine. I'll never leave you. You will be safe. You will be safe with me." And I just remember, I guess he had like a Pinkerton blue colored uniform. Looked very safe. It wasn't a cop's uniform. It was like a periwinkle blue, maybe a teal. It was not a threatening color. And I just put my face into his chest, and I put my arms tightly around his, and I felt his arms around me, and I felt him move his hands down to my bottom and just rub them, and he pushed me into him a little bit more and more, and I said, I'm never going to leave you, I'm never going to leave you, I'm never going to leave you. And in the midst of all this pushing and pulling and rubbing and what have you, out came a flow of jism that I had never had a situation where I ejaculated before. And I imagine it was just it seemed incredibly long. It was just this wonderful liquid coming out of me, and I felt better and better, he was still rubbing me, and he was still rubbing me, and I just felt his heartbeat because my chest was up to his, my head was up to his chest. And after a while, I guess when I stopped, but it just seemed like it went on, and I think it did because the half of bed that I was sleeping on in the single bed, it was down from my tummy all the way down to my leg. It was just soaked, and I just touched it. I had to awaken, and I just touched it, and I thought, wow, what a miracle. And I guess that's when I knew I was gay, because he made me feel so safe. No one had ever made me feel that way before. He was a man's man. There weren't very many words talked, but he was the first person who allowed me to be safe. And I guess I developed an affection for the uniform past that time, and it really was. It was such a source of great comfort for me. And I remember about 18 years later, I was living up on the Gulf Coast, and I said to the folks, I'm going to drive down to Tampa to see them, which is where they spent their winters. So for me, from Mobile to Tampa was about I don't know, 8 or 9 hour drive. And I was on I-10 in Florida, Interstate 10, and somewhere between Panama City and Fort Walton Beach, this wonderful gentleman, Florida Highway Patrol officer, stopped put his flasher lights on, and he motioned me to pull over, and I felt very warm inside. And he was a perfect gentleman. And he said, you were going a little fast. I said, well, I had to go to my mom's. I was trying to get there for dinner. I probably shouldn't have gone that fast. I really didn't know that I was going to be in any trouble because there wasn't anybody on the road. He said, no, but you have to be aware of the fact that there are speed limits and they're there for a reason. I said, I'm sorry. He said, you seem like you're a guy that means no harm, and I feel comfortable that you've learned a lesson. I have, sir, I have. And he gave me my license back, and on my left hand, and then he just rubbed his pinky finger against my hand, and then I tightened my pinky around his, and I said, I thank you for being here today with me. Would you like to talk? I'm going to be having some dinner. We could stop at the next rest area off I-10, and maybe you could have a cup of coffee, give you more energy so you can get to your mom's house, in good alertness on the road. I said, yeah, I guess so. Seems okay, but I really don't know if this was the right thing to do. I just said to him, you sure that I should be doing this? He said, yeah. I mean, the work part of my job is over now. I mean, you made me feel good that I got through to you, that you were able to not drive that fast anymore, and I don't want you to not get there safely. So I had a cup of coffee with him, and we just sort of looked at each other, and I was very, I guess I was all flushed. I was very turned on. Mind you, this is 25-year-old Paul. If you like what you see, put it mildly, if you like what you see now, you probably would have liked it better then. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you just have to imagine, let your dirty minds do the work. And within a few minutes, he just wrapped his leg around mine, and I think that I got scared then, because I thought I was, first of all, doing something illegal, and that he would maybe was testing me. Oh yeah, he was testing me, all right. I'd say he was probably about 33, 34, beautiful man, absolutely beautiful man. And I said, do you like the work that you do, officers? Oh yeah, it's wonderful. I really get to meet some nice people, and you're one of them. Anyway, we'll go from there. You draw your own conclusions. I did not do anything with him that time, but I had his card, and I had his phone number, and I had a couple of trips down the road. I tried to look for him, and I got the number that he had given me, and he said that no number is no longer in service, so I called his platoon at the Florida Highway Patrol. He says, no, he's working in Orlando area now, so it's I can leave a message for you. I just, the fellow that he stopped for speeding several months ago, I just wanted to say thank you that I'm not speeding anymore, and I hope that hope he has a good week. I remember him, that he made quite an impression on me. Let it go at that. Oh, Rick will be happy to hear that. Say no more. Okay, so that's my story. I didn't know where that was going. Well, thankfully, it didn't go any further, because I would have had to unloosen my buckle, and that's not what we want here. This is a family show, and that's not where we're gonna go. I just wanted to know what it's like in the world for you guys. I mean, you're out all the time, I'm assuming. Do you have a job that still requires you to be in for your employee, that you haven't come out yet? And do you feel that this pressures for those few people that are still in, that maybe there are some pressures for fellow employees or your employer to keep things secret, so to speak, but still have a little bit of fun? I'm going to call it that, because I had those situations that occurred. One of my first bosses, he was married and obviously gay, because he used to get so nervous around me, and we used to go for beer runs in Alabama on Friday and Saturday nights, and near Huntsville there was this place where my county was dry, where Dave and I lived, so we had to go to Madison County, right in back of the Huntsville airport. There was a really creepy, degenerate-looking liquor mill, and we used to pick up our booze there on Saturday nights before we went home to David's house, usually weekly, and watch the movie or so. But I remember when he got in the car with me on Friday nights, believe me, I liked him a lot. I really did like him a lot, and then because I think we were connecting in many special ways. His wife was a shrew, and she really didn't have she yelled at him, and she just always, David this, David that, can't you do this right, can't you do that? This is not what I asked you to bring from the store. And David was very reticent to talk about how he felt to anyone, other than non-verbally. We'd get into the car Friday night, and he'd be massaging his his balls and his dick. Still, I didn't think he was unzipping. We didn't. I didn't look. I know what was going on, and he would just very lightly tap each other's arms and just jockish kind of thing. But yeah, he really he was a cute guy, but I technically was into him. I don't even know what would have happened if I had come out and we had gotten together. I mean, his wife would have made things miserable for him, and I don't think it would have been so great for me. Decatur, Alabama is a nice town. I just don't think it's as it's no New York City, or it's no Los Angeles, so I don't think that it's going to be quite that likely to make it kindly. And this was back in the 70s, 80s. But anyway, that was a sticky situation. I had bosses who knew that I was gay and used my special gift to get business, and because I went to gay doctors. There was one gay doctor that we called on, me and my district manager for McNeil, and this doctor who was always salivating when I came in. He had a collection of penises on his desk. That's the most unusual thing I ever, like Caligula, all just penises of all sizes and girths and sinewiness, and they were anatomically correct for sure. We never talked about that. My boss Dennis probably knew that he was gay. Stupidly enough, I didn't think so. I just thought that he had some odd collection. Although in subsequent years he sort of came close to me to get friendly, and I didn't do the right thing basically. Nice guy, but being in was different because it was a naughty kind of a thing, but also if the boss liked you, he could really get more out of you than he could with the straight guys, because we have a certain sensitivity that relates well with the receptionists and the nurses that let you in or don't let you in. It was very easy for me to kneel in front of a doctor's, and that's something, and show him the product that I wanted to show him, and then just maybe put my hand on his arm so I could point something out with the other hand. That's in the sales brochure that we had, and it was good. I mean, they were happy to have somebody was breaking through that barrier. You're sitting on one side of the desk versus another. They don't get that chance, but I was right under them, right in sucking position, if you want to say. And well, I was salesman of the year a lot, and I never did anything to anybody. No, I never did. But there was that suggestion, that hint. It was that naughtiness that was out in the background, the ether. And I had a lot of gay doctor friends that were in, not out at all. It wasn't fashionable. And they said, "I can't believe, Rocky, that you're out and everybody knows about you and they still don't bother you." I said, "Why, Barry? Don't you feel good about yourself?" "Well, I know, but what's appropriate is appropriate." I said, that's bullshit, because, quite frankly, I'm a good human being, don't you think? And don't you think that, do I treat you any differently than I treat anybody else? I'm not inappropriate. I like you. I feel kinship with you. You're my brother. But he just never quite, he couldn't commit. So it was kind of better in the way that he didn't. He used to tell me, if you want to come over in the evening, it's got to be Thursday. His wife's not home. I said, "What do you want me to do then? Are you ashamed of me? You don't want me to meet her?" It was just ridiculous. But if you're out now in your job, your workplace, whether it's outdoor work, landscaping, construction, EMT, nursing, a bank, Wall Street, you name it. Retail certainly is not that big a deal. You have coworkers that are gay, and probably I would not think of a manager who might be too. But how does that change things for you? Or does it? Am I being hypersensitive and think that maybe you guys have something over than me? That it's not, that you don't have any difficulties that were thrown on your back because everybody's gay and everybody knows who's gay, and it doesn't make any difference. It's just like everybody knows you're black and you can't really do anything about it, and they either like you or they don't you because of what you are. That's kind of my situation as it was it was never mentioned, but I didn't have any other obvious issues or made things that made me different from anyone else. The Cuban reps that were in our company unmercifully badgered me. They say, "Oh, Rocky, you want some papaya?" Being the euphemism in Cuban culture for vagina. You got to lick some papaya. You got to have some papaya. I said, "I will do what I need to do, Fernando. Just lay off me." And this went on for 15 years almost until George Jimenez, the ultimate homophobe, kicked my ass out. And I was 7 years from retirement after all the time I spent there. If he just left me alone, I would have done great. But he couldn't stand it. And he just had to say, "You can't do it anymore. You're not the mold." So yeah, he got rid of me. And then I had to grovel. My income went down, and I started to come in contact with a lot of homophobic people in the lower echelons of the business world, and I felt powerless. So what do you do as an out person when somebody hits on you? It's still, I would think, inappropriate to act upon that being hit upon. I mean, obviously you might want it, but is it a good thing after you have a little interlude of play, like in excuse me, like in the some of the fantasy pornos that are out there, when your boss he's eyeing you and he just wants you to suck his cock, and you that's the way to get a raise in that kind of fantasy movie. Well, I just don't know how often that happens. It didn't work for Mr. Weinberg in Los Angeles, did it? Scumbag that he was. But is there a difference being in or out? Do you feel like you're a happier employee being out versus I was a very happy employee still being not out when we didn't have sales meetings? It just was uncomfortable when we all got together. It was particularly weird when I won the Salesman of the Year award among all the reps in the country, and I was with the winning district, San Francisco, and I think 3 or 4 of those guys, including the district manager, were gay. And I was perfectly comfortable and safe. It was wonderful, but I didn't. I had never had experiencing like that before. That everybody knew me very, very well, and I was being lauded as the number one in the whole damn company among 460 sales reps, and I felt just great about it. And they all sent me cards and pictures and congratulatory letters saying, "Proud of you, Rocky. It's good to have you." When I went to sales trading in that company for 3 weeks, my sales trainer had me labeled as Rocky Ann, and he used to tease me unmercifully. And I got not such a great review from that sales trainer. And my district manager stuck up for me very readily. He said, "What are you doing teasing my rep like that? He's the best man I have. You have no right to do that." And McNeil backed off, and I was a hero. But again, that's a Philadelphia company. I worked for a company in Miami, and they were slobs like that because Cuban people are homophobic, generally speaking. Maybe not so much now. But I always envy you guys in Los Angeles, because when I do go to LA, I mean, you can do anything you want, basically. And as long as it's not tacky or just obnoxious, people don't seem to care very much. There's just a lot of leverage to being who you are. So give me your feedback on that. In or out, does it make a difference? Is it a great comfort to be able to work totally out? Or do you still have only certain people that you're out to? Maybe not the boss, but some coworkers, then it doesn't hurt. Or have coworkers blackmailed you because of it, which is all wrong. It's all wrong because it gets into my last thing that I'm going to say to you, like I always say to you. You are your very best friend. You will always be the one friend who loves you the most. And if you don't love yourself and really admire what you are as a human being, that's half of the battle that's lost right there. Because other people don't have that power to either keep you strong inside or make you crush and feel disappointed that I didn't live up to somebody's impression. Who the fuck cares what impression you should live up to, other than yourself. It's not going to cost you your job if you're always doing your work well. It's not going to be a problem in the military if you do your work well, and I know that's sort of a big thing, or was a big thing, that you couldn't have gays in the military because you're making people uncomfortable, but I know that's not a big deal anymore. My partner, Brad, had that happen to him, but it was ages ago, and the captain of his ship had him over for dinner on Friday nights and had sex with him. But ultimately, he came back to burn his ass. So, and the things have changed in that way, maybe for the better, but are people different now, or is there still a lot of blackmailing kind of things that go on? That's bad if it does, and I'm hoping that that's not the case. But let me know. My family, it's time for me to go again. And yes, remember I did say I was going to start using a timer. The timer is here. Brad brought it in for me. I still didn't use it. Police me on this, because these videos are long. They're not a waste of time, but they're long, and I know you're busy. So take it. What you should do is just take it in 3 or 4 doses. There's always, every part of this video is important, so that's why you need to be here with us. And I'm so happy to be back, because I realize the sense of commitment that you need me, and I need me. I need me to be here, because there's nobody exactly like me who's got the same viewpoint on how to have a better life, and that's the purpose of this whole Our Front Southern Porch, is how to live a better life. Take care of yourself, my friends. I love you. I need you here. Brad feels the same way. Just stay with us. We're going to make you happy. We'll all be happy together. Bye now. Come again soon. And thank you.